caught a charge. I had gotten an altercation and shot somebody, and they tried to charge me with 4 attempted murders.
Oh, shit.
Because I shot in the crowd.
Being charged with second-degree murder and possession of firearm by a juvenile delinquent.
How?
Then he had to call his mom and let her know that he was fighting the murder case.
Mom. I don't know what's going on, but they say I've been charged with murder.
Stop lying, Tyrese.
I promise.
Man, don't tell me this, baby. What the fuck?
I don't know what's going on, Mom, but they said
He got killed, it wasn't for him. Like, and that's just me being real. Like, before he died, a week before he died, I called him on the jail phone, and I say, I see you out there. If you return, I see you with Julio, you doing, I was like, but don't get caught up in that, bro. I was like, you know how bad they want him. They'll get anybody.
Kshordy went from sliding on his rivals to snitching on them, then jumping right back into the same heat, all before ending up with a 12-year sentence after a judge got mad at him. Now he's still staring down a possible life sentence in a murder case, and he even wants one of his biggest rivals to testify for him in court. Many people thought Kshordy could have become one of the biggest rappers in Jacksonville, but everything flipped fast. Kshordy grew up on the north side of Jacksonville in 6-block territory at the Hilltop Apartments, where his mom made sure he always had food, clean clothes, and a solid place to stay. But he wanted more. He saw older guys rocking chains, fresh kicks, and flashy outfits, and he wanted that same shine. As a young adult trying to level up his life, he stepped deeper into the streets and started moving around with people who lived that lifestyle. For a while, Kshordy played it smart and managed to avoid getting locked up, but things changed when he hit his late teens and ended up facing 4 attempted murder charges. According to the reports, he got into a fight where another man tried to grab his strap, and Kshordy pulled it out and fired. A crowd happened to be behind the guy he was aiming at, so the cops stacked multiple attempted murder charges on him instead of just one. At the same time, he had a warrant for an armed carjacking, and when police pulled him over in a stolen car, he knew the situation was bad. Getting arrested for the first time while facing charges that serious would shake anybody. But then something wild happened. The attempted murder charges got dropped to assault with a deadly weapon, and instead of spending decades locked up, he only had to do 18 months in juvenile custody. Later on, once his music career started taking off, he did an interview with Dirty Glove Bastard where he explained that most of the people he used to look up to in the streets were either locked up or gone. He said he realized the streets weren't worth it, but even with that awareness, he still ended up getting pulled back in. It looked like he truly wanted to leave that life behind. But when people close to him started losing their lives, everything shifted again. Kshordy and Lil BB both grew up in the Hilltop Apartments and were extremely close, and losing people around them changed the whole energy. When Kshordy got locked up, Lil BB started spending more time around Julio, who was older and already known all over Jacksonville's drill scene. Kshordy didn't like it at all. He knew BB shouldn't be moving with someone whose name was that active in the streets. He warned him straight up that rolling with Julio would put a target on his back, but BB didn't fall back. Not long after, BB ended up getting brutally killed, and reports say he was shot in the Hilltop area during a situation where people claimed Kshordy's rivals were involved. His death hit Kshordy hard, and in his Dirty Glove Bastard interview, he said the rivals only went after BB because he was hanging around Julio. That loss changed him in a major way. People around the city say BB's death is what pushed Kshordy deeper into the streets, and on March 17, 2020, he allegedly slid on his rivals and took the life of a man named Daquan Saxton. But the other side didn't waste any time. The very next day, they allegedly slid back and sprayed bullets at Kshordy's mom's house. Even with all that going on, Kshordy tried to keep living normal life. The day after his mom's house got shot up, he went on a date with his girlfriend, Anandi Weiss. She was a cheerleader planning to attend Florida A&M, and she had just gotten her first car a few months earlier. After their date, she drove him home, and that's when 2 shooters jumped out and fired into her car. Both Kshordy and Anandi were hit, but Anandi tragically didn't survive. Everyone in Jacksonville knew she wasn't the intended target, and later it came out that one of the shooters was related to Daquan Saxton. the man Kshordy was accused of killing just 2 days earlier. A few months after Anandi lost her life, police arrested Roland Ball and Avion Porter for the shooting. Witnesses identified Roland as one of the shooters, and when investigators looked through Avion's phone, they found messages where he admitted he was the one who pulled the trigger and said it was payback for his brother, Daquan Saxton. There were a few eyewitnesses in the case, but nobody knew at the time that Kshordy was also talking to investigators. He pointed out Roland Ball in a photo lineup and said Roland was the one who shot him the night Anandi lost her life. Later on, he tried to take the statement back, saying detectives pressured him and told him that if he cared about Anandi, he needed to help them solve what happened. A couple years later, Kshordy claimed he only named Roland because people in the streets were already spreading rumors that Roland was the shooter. But the court said he wasn't telling the truth about that, especially since investigators already had messages from Avion Porter's phone where he admitted, "I got one under my belt. Me and my brothers did that because they killed my brother." He also wrote that Anandi wasn't supposed to lose her life, but the way they sprayed the car made it clear they didn't care who got hit. By 2025, Roland Ball was convicted for Anandi's death and was sentenced to life in prison without parole. The wild part is that even though Kshordy helped investigators lock up people he considered rivals, he was still out in the streets at the same time and allegedly getting into more violent situations. But while all this was going on, he also decided to focus on music and jumped into the booth. In early 2021, he dropped a track called "Tired of Shooting," and the lyrics were intense and full of emotion. The song included lines where he talked about how people kept losing their lives and how he never got tired of defending himself. Some lines in the track were originally written with harsh language, but the message was clear. He felt surrounded by danger and was expressing the anger he felt toward the people he believed were against him. Kshordy was still furious at Foolio because he believed Foolio played a role in Lil BB getting killed, and that anger showed in his music. Even as his name started buzzing in Jacksonville's rap scene, the tension in the streets kept pulling him back into the same chaos he said he wanted to escape. Julio's own mom ended up getting shot because of street drama tied to him, and Kshordy didn't hold back in his music. In one track he rapped, "I'm gonna do life if a dude shoot my mama. A dude getting hit with that fire? I don't want to hear nothing about nothing else tough till one of them dudes drop." Every bar had heat and frustration. 6 Block had already taken 2 major losses back to back. First, Spaz 2X was shot at the Hilltop Apartments, and then the very next day, Rod K was killed in that same area. People around the city claimed Foolio didn't do anything to stand up for them, and Kshordy called him out in another track saying, "You doing all that swinging, telling them you rapping a lie. Tell them Spaz and Rod K got killed and you did nothing but cry. I don't believe anything that Foolio say, that dude goofy." Kshordy also said that when he was locked up and after Lil BB passed, Julio told him he would help pay for him to get studio time so he could focus on music. But when Kshordy came home, he said Foolio never followed through. He responded again on a track called "Who Really Killing," rapping, "Had to realize dudes out here dying and they arrested in time while Foolio chilling. Dudes lying about studio time. He ain't even drop a dime. When a dude was drilling, he was running the block. When BB had died, he ain't get no call. He just got in his feelings." Foolio didn't stay quiet either. He shot back with his own track Straight Facts, where he accused Kshordy of being responsible for Anandi's death and said lines like, "And you got hit so many times, they say you target practice. You got that girl hurt, and that's tragic." He also addressed a rumor Kshordy brought up, adding, "You say I ran on Osama? I was nowhere near pop out. Left my little brother? Get that clear." Even though the music beef wasn't the deepest situation, Kshordy still had real rivals outside of rap. A few months after Anandi lost her life, Kshordy himself got shot again. Police found him in the same neighborhood bleeding from a leg wound, and right next to him they found a rifle, a hoodie with a mask, and shell casings scattered around. Investigators thought he had gotten into a shootout moments before they arrived. It took a few months for detectives to run DNA tests on the rifle and the hoodie, but when the results came back, they matched Kshordy. That's when they booked him for being a felon connected to a group and having a firearm. Even though his music kept growing fast, he also revealed too much in his songs, and people said he was practically telling on himself in some of those lyrics. The more his music blew up, the more he mixed real situations with his verses, and the streets were listening to every detail. During the trial for his firearm case, prosecutors even played one of his own songs, On Your Ass, because he described the whole situation where he got shot. In the track he rapped, "Ah, how did I drop my tool? I'm losing blood and stuff. They still shooting now. I crawled to the bushes, laying in bugs and stuff, and I started stripping. Had to get rid of the mask, get away from that pole. Wait till they come. Authorities gonna ask me what happened, and I ain't telling a soul." The courtroom was stunned hearing him break down the whole moment like that. Kshordy also talked about getting shot again in another song, Dead People, where he rapped, "Hop out, let that lead hit him. I ain't got no rivals. Them dudes just call law and they aim low. Boy, I know the real you. You let the internet pump your head up." His music had the streets buzzing because he didn't hold back on anything. Even after getting hit with the gun charge, he bonded out, and a few months later, people say he was allegedly involved in another situation where a man named No Face lost his life. But most folks in the city believe No Face wasn't the target. They say he was just in the car with Spinabens, and that's who had the real tension with Kshordy. Things got worse when Spinabens shared a video of Kshordy dancing in his bathroom and then dissed him on a track called I Don't Smoke Kendra, saying, "My daughter like me, she in school and she don't play." There he go twerking in the bathroom. Look y'all, he's so lame. Spinabens and Kshordy had been dissing each other's lost friends for years and it never cooled down. Then in September 2021, things escalated. Kshordy and his ally 2-4 allegedly spotted Spinabens, Greenlight, and No Face at a gas station on Lenox Avenue. The three were sitting in a Dodge Challenger when a black Range Rover pulled up and shots were fired. Spinabens and Greenlight ran inside the store once the shots started, but No Face was hit and later passed away at the hospital. The situation shook the whole area, and detectives immediately started looking for a black Range Rover matching the one witnesses described. The very next day, the gang unit saw a Range Rover that fit the description cruising through the Woodland Acres neighborhood. They tried to pull it over, but the driver sped off and crashed into a pole. When the doors flew open, the officers saw that the people inside were Kshordy and his associate, LeCracker. They tried to run on foot, but police caught up with them quickly. Inside the SUV, investigators found multiple shell casings that matched what was discovered at the gas station. Officers believed it was the exact same vehicle from the night of the shooting, and the discovery made the case even heavier. Everything kept escalating. Kshordy was rising in the music world, but the situations around him were stacking up even faster. People said Kshordy allegedly caught another body in this wild situation, but the part that made everything even worse was how he moved. The Range Rover he used didn't belong to some random person. It belonged to 2-4's mom. If he had taken a different car and gotten rid of it after the situation, he might have had a chance to avoid getting tied to the scene. But sliding around in his homie's mom's car basically made the investigators' job way easier. When police brought him into the station, they told him straight up he was getting charged with murder. He had to call his mom and tell her with his voice shaking, "I don't know what's going on, mama." They saying this. You could hear the stress through the call. His first trial was actually for the gun case, and from the start, it wasn't looking good. Detectives had his DNA all over the rifle. He had a fresh leg wound, and he had already released a song where he talked about the same situation in detail. Getting caught with a gun isn't always the end of the world, but what happened next made everything way worse. Right before sentencing, Kshordy was allowed to speak to the judge, a moment a lot of people use to show remorse or explain their situation. His music had momentum, and he could have used that to ask for a lighter sentence. Instead, he told the judge that people inside the jail were calling him Send Him Home Salem. The judge's real name was Anthony Salem, and he was known in the city for giving fair chances and lighter sentences. But as soon as Kshordy said that nickname in court, everything flipped. The judge didn't like it at all, and he hit Kshordy with 12 years in prison on the gun charge. That moment shocked people in the courtroom because he could have walked out with a much shorter sentence. But the real danger wasn't the 12 years. It was the fact that Kshordy still had a murder case coming up, and many believed that if he lost, he would be facing life. Things got so serious that he started trying to reach out to his rivals for help. In 2024, it came out that Kshordy's defense team tried to get Spinabens to testify for him in the case involving No Face. When the news dropped, Spinabens went on Instagram and called the whole situation out. saying that when he went to trial, he didn't ask anyone except his lawyer to show up. He said losing No Face hurt deeply, and on the track Badass Day he rapped, "They sprayed up my whole side. I ain't get hit. I'm still confused. I still hear Face's voice in my head." The whole situation was heartbreaking. No Face had passed. Tension between both sides was higher than ever. And now Kshordy was trying to ask people he once traded diss tracks with to help him avoid losing his entire future. After all the courtroom drama, things got even wilder for Kshordy because more details from the No Face case kept popping up. And every new piece of info made his situation look heavier. Prosecutors started pulling up old videos, old lyrics, and even old social media posts, trying to show the jury that Kshordy was tied to way more street activity than what he was officially charged with. What made it worse was that investigators said they found messages on different phones showing people arguing about who was responsible for sliding that night. And Kshordy's name kept getting mentioned over and over again. Even though none of it was hard evidence, the prosecutors used it to paint a picture that made the whole courtroom lean in closer. Defense lawyers tried to flip the narrative and said half the stuff investigators were using came from the internet, not from the actual crime scene. They said prosecutors were trying to make Kshordy look guilty based on street gossip and rap lyrics, not real facts. But the tension was crazy because everyone knew that when lyrics get played in court, it always shakes the room. Meanwhile, people outside the courtroom kept talking too, saying the whole situation was messy because old alliances were breaking down and new ones were popping up. Folks from different neighborhoods were claiming that more people were getting questioned by detectives, and some said the city was watching everything like it was a movie. Then word got out that prosecutors were trying to bring in even more witnesses, including people who didn't even rock with Kshordy but had seen him around the night everything went down. When the courtroom heard that part, people started whispering because surprise witnesses always change the energy. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get more chaotic, a new rumor spread saying there might be security footage from a store close to the gas station where the shooting happened. Footage nobody had seen yet. Lawyers from both sides were stressing because new footage could either help Kshordy or destroy his defense completely. Kshordy kept dropping emotional bars while everything around him spiraled, and one of the rawest lines came when he rapped, "I know we got some things to handle. I ain't nothing like these dudes. They still got stuff to prove. Me? I done almost lost everything. I ain't got nothing left to lose." Those words hit heavy because his whole life was shaking apart. When Spinnabenz found out that Kshordy wanted him to testify for his defense, he fired back with a track called Letter to Kshordy, where he rapped, "First of all, I ain't put you dudes in this position. Second of all, ain't nobody helped me when I was in it. Third thing, y'all act like I walked you out the front door and made you jump off the porch, but I didn't. It's obvious you dudes vulnerable. It's making me uncomfortable." The tension was real. Nobody knows exactly how much evidence police actually have on Kshordy for the No Face case, but word on the street says his homie 2-4 might be talking to investigators. Since Kshordy rapped about sliding multiple times, including in his track Let's Do It, where he said, "They want to know how many people I touched. I say about 4. Prosecutors are watching every lyric closely." He followed that with, "It's wild cause I hit plenty dudes and it could have been more, terrorizing all my rivals. Forget 1200 and forget 00. If those lyrics are even close to the truth, then 2-4 might know way more than anyone realizes, and he could try to protect himself by giving detectives information. Some people even think Kshordy could talk again too. He already named Roland Ball back in the day during the investigation into Anandi's death, and if he's facing life now, he might try to throw more rivals under the bus to save himself. That rumor spread even faster after people found out that 2-4's brother, John Wall, just took a plea deal in a different murder case and agreed to testify against his own homies. According to reports, John Wall and his crew allegedly tried to slide on someone named Main Target, but they ended up hitting Main Target's younger cousin instead, who tragically didn't survive. John Wall flipped and agreed to cooperate. But the shocking part is that his plea deal didn't even include a set sentence, meaning he could still end up doing life even after turning on everyone else. Right now, nobody knows if Kshordy or 2-4 are saying anything in the No Face case. They haven't taken any plea deals yet. But with all the pressure, all the rumors, and all the street politics swirling around, everything feels uncertain as the trial gets closer. If you stayed all the way to the end, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment. This story's wild, and we got way more coming. See you in the next one.